Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wisdom Walk. I am your host, Dr. Annette Williams, and we are super excited to have you with us tonight. We're running a little bit behind, so we hope that you will just have some grace on us. You know, technical difficulties, Murphy's Law, anything that will happen, but we're here. Again, I'm super excited to be here tonight at the Church of Christ in Kashmere Gardens. As we have planned our surviving sexual trauma session tonight. We have some awesome speakers. We have an individual who will perform a monologue for us and maybe even have some poetry. Okay. All right. Again, we are super excited to be with you tonight. Technical difficulties, bear with us, folks. No problem. These kinds of things happen when you are away from the studio, so we're still working out the kinks. But anyway, I will go on and introduce our first guest tonight. We are so excited to have Katrina Lawrence with us tonight, and I will share with you her bio. She was born and raised in Conroe, Texas, and she is married to Chris, and together they have 5 children and 9 grandchildren. She is the owner of a Beautiful Mind Training Academy, she's a master mindfulness coach and brain coach. She is also a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and child sex trafficking. She is the founder and facilitator of Hope for Healing, a nonprofit support group for women of childhood sexual abuse, and is passionate about helping fellow survivors find hope and healing. In her spare time, she enjoys being with her family, reading, meditating, and working with various mission outreach programs through her church. Welcome, Katrina. We're happy to have you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Annette.
All right. So we're asking those in the studio audience, please silence your phones, please. Thank you. All right. So I've read your bio, and we know that you're from Conroe, Texas. How do you become a member of RAIN, which is the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network? How did you become a member of that Speakers Bureau?
When I was having my repressed memories come up, I was just searching online trying to find information for support for myself, and I came across their information on the website information. And as I was going through it, it talked about a speakers bureau, and I just felt led to be able to join it so I can share my story.
Okay. All right. And so, what would you say is the catalyst for you deciding to join and to share? Because there aren't very many people who wanted to be transparent or share something of this nature.
I just feel that, generations ago, this kind of talk about sexual abuse was like hush hush, right? Sweep under the rug, you don't talk about it. And in order for it to somewhat maybe not happen as often, we need to be able to talk about it. And again, I just felt led to be able to share, to be able to get the information out there and to educate not only survivors for the resources that are available, but also family members on how to be able to support their family when they're going through something like that.
So I want to say this publicly, and I want to say it also to our viewers, is that I would not ask you to share anything that you're not willing to share. We're not that kind of show. We're not Jerry Springer or those other shows, that like the drama. We're all about respecting people's their feelings, their thoughts, their personal lives. But I want to ask this: statistically, what are the incidents of sexual abuse rates of men, women, and children, I guess, in 2022 and to 2023?
I know for girls, when you're talking about childhood sexual abuse, for girls it's 1 in 4, for boys it's 1 in 6. So it's pretty active.
Yeah, it is. And who are typically the perpetrators of?
Most people think strangers, but it's actually family members.
Right.
It's somebody that, whether it's a family member or a family friend, somebody that you know.
Okay. So now let's dive into your story.
Sure.
Take us back to little Katrina.
Well, and I haven't always remembered the abuse. It wasn't until 3 years ago that my memories actually started coming back. I had gotten, in 2016, I had gotten really physically sick, kind of out of the blue with a lot of health issues, my heart, adrenal glands, autonomic type issues. And I went to the doctor, and the integrative doctor, and he was able to get all the physical stuff under control. But then in 2018, I started having like these emotional outbursts, I guess is the right word for it. Couldn't figure out what was causing it, but they were, it was life-changing. It was debilitating. I couldn't function. Ended up getting on different psychiatric medications to try to help with it. And then in 2019, I had a hysterectomy, and then I started having seizures. And in 2020, I was actually able to go to the Cleveland Clinic and stay on the epilepsy monitoring unit. And they had decided, they had been able to understand that it wasn't epilepsy, but it was conversion disorder. And my husband and I had asked him what causes conversion disorder, and he said childhood trauma. And I looked straight at the doctor and I said, I did not have childhood trauma. So thankful, coming home from that, we were thankful that it wasn't epilepsy, but then we still didn't understand what was causing it. The social worker at the hospital had said that the treatment for conversion disorder is to do trauma therapy, EMDR. So I started that, and within 3 sessions, I started having memories of, repressed memories of childhood sexual abuse. So, and I still occasionally need to go. I went for 2 full years, 2 or 3 times a week. It was pretty intense. Had a phenomenal therapist be able to help me get through all of that. But now I can have memories. It goes back, sexual abuse was from age 4, some of my earliest memories until I was 16. So.
Okay. Do you mind sharing that part of your life with us, what that was like?
Recalling the memories?
Yes.
Okay. So recalling the memories felt hopeless. It was very hopeless in the beginning. It was very overwhelming. It felt like I was going crazy because, in my memory, right, growing up, I was a straight A student most of the time, occasionally had a B. I was in dance for 10 years. I did drill team, basketball, track, involved with my church and everything. And then when I had these memories, it was like there's no way that fit into my life at all. And as I started going through more and more of the memories, it actually, something started making sense, right? Thought patterns that I've always had, the way I respond to certain things that I have aversions to. And so it just really was able actually to help me feel less crazy once I got past the beginning parts of it. But yeah, it was very difficult. And I can't imagine going through it alone. I had, like I said, I had phenomenal support from my therapist. My husband, he is a gift from God. He's been one of my biggest supporters, and allowing me to heal how I need to heal. But there's a lot of people out there who do not have that support, and that's another reason why I want to be able to talk about it, is raise awareness, of all the support that is actually out there. So,
was your abuse caused by someone that you knew, someone?
Yeah. So it started. It was generational incest. So it was family members that. I'm trying to figure out how to word it for respect of everybody that's involved. There was between the ages of 4 and 6, I can remember 6 habitual abusers. I don't know if habitual, but it was on a regular basis. 4 were men, 2 were female. That's another statistic that's interesting because most people think that it's just men, and it's not. It's a high percentage of men, but there are women abusers as well. And that was from 4 to 12, and then once I turned 12 to 16, it was just 3 at that time, but that's when the sex trafficking became more of a geared towards that, just being sold and that kind of stuff.
And so, was the sex trafficking also in the family, or was this outside?
Yes, it was from a family member.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what it took for you, and even now, what is it taking for you to break that cycle? What have you done to say, no more, this is not gonna happen to my kids?
Right.
And how has that affected your parenting and what you see parenting?
Yeah. speaking out is the first thing to do in order to break it, right? It has to just be brought to the light. My kids are older. My youngest is 16, so I don't have little kids really, but definitely just from a parenting perspective, just make them aware. You know, it's not always about stranger danger. It's just about what are your boundaries, what is acceptable, what is healthy touch, what does that mean for kids from adults, and just educating them.
So you did know you were a offender. What happened to those people?
So because it was so long ago, there's of course statute of limitations for certain things. Trying to think how to say it. With certain aspects of abuse, if there's certain things that happen within that abuse, there are, nothing can be done. If it goes beyond a certain point, try and keep it as generic as possible. You can still press charges, and I did. But because it was so long ago, it was more of my word against their word kind of thing. Some of the abusers have passed away, so that wasn't an issue. But two of them I did report. One was one of the main abusers, and it is not a cold. It's considered a cold case. There were other victims that did come forward, but again, it's so long ago, it's difficult. And then one of them it's not necessarily a closed case, it was more of just, his response was, you can speak to my lawyer, he wouldn't even attempt to speak to the police or anything. But I felt that just by going to that police station and just telling an authority figure, because there was a lot of brainwashing, there was a lot of conditioning, people wonder, why don't you say anything? They make sure you don't say anything. They know the words to use to scare the life out of you and your kids. You believe them, and so it was just, for me at least, it was so empowering just to be able to walk through that door with my husband, because I wasn't doing it alone, right? And tell somebody, and it was a weird, because it was me, who's 44, Katrina, and there was little me. Kind of both present, right, at that interview. So it was, they're not gonna, I guess, be held accountable for it legally, but I did what I needed to do for me personally, I told.
Good.
And nobody came after me.
Wow, yeah.
So,
and you mentioned that is really part of the scare tactic, that if you tell, will come after you. Will kill your parents, will kill you, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
I worked for a child placement agency for many years, and I think the worst case of sexual abuse that I remember, and I know I'll never forget, was an 8-month-old who was sexually molested by her mother's boyfriend.
Right.
And an 8-month-old had to have a hysterectomy. And I want to say something about that. I want to encourage our young people. You're looking for love, you're just finding someone and then making them responsible for your children. And we are really putting our children in harm's way. And we have to be better about our parenting, and also, I guess, getting the mental health help that we need to work with whatever it is that would lead us to doing something like that. And that happens more often than we would like for it to happen. We don't want it to happen at all, but the fact of the matter is that it is happening. And we have 2, 3, 4-year-olds who are being molested by their parents' partners. So, all right. This was not in the questions that I said, but what were your parents' responses? Or their response when you make this known?
100% believed me, which is great, because there's a lot of people who are not believed. It's difficult for them, so I don't share a lot, with them, and that's okay. I have there's certain people in place who need to share, but they're very supportive. They're very supportive of it.
And what are your children thinking about you doing
Oh, they are so proud. They are so proud. Yeah, I love it.
How's this changed your life?
Oh, it's changed in my entire life. Even though I didn't have the memories, I still had, so, we have a certain body language that we carry, right? Typically our shoulders are down, our head's down. I did not ever make eye contact with people. I just was very, I guess, introverted, if you want to use that word, right? And now it's sitting on stage with you, speaking about people about it, right? We all have a purpose in life, and I feel like I was maybe, you go through and you think you know what your purpose is, and then something like this happens, and then somebody else decides, hey, I'm gonna let you know what your purpose really is for being here on earth, and so yeah, it's changed everything.
And this is your first speaking.
This is, and I'm kind of shaky.
Yeah, but you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. What is your self-care routine?
Oh wow. Okay, so when I first was remembering, I needed it to make sense, and it will never make sense. So I was doing a lot of research, I was doing a lot of just studying of the brain, and that's kind of what got me to where I was with the brain coaching and the mindfulness coaching. I was scrolling through Facebook one day aimlessly, right? Not even just really looking at anything, and this Udemy, it's a learning platform, had come across, and it just talked about, wanting to be more mindful about things, and I was like, that is exactly what I need to be able to feel like I have control over my own thoughts, because in that moment, they're just so intrusive, everything is they're just like flooding, right? Just flooding, and I felt so out of control. I forgot what your original question was.
I was so into what you were saying. I forgot what was
Oh,
self-care.
So learning for me was a big part of it, needing to be able to understand what my brain was doing, why it was doing it, so that I could have more control when these memories were assaulting me and everything. So I started doing that, which led me to meditation. I do that every single day. If I'm stressed, twice a day. Just being able to get myself back centered. Big self-care routine for me is being in the Word. Scripture's a big part for me. It's the number one thing, actually. And then just knowing what my triggers are. I like to try to confront them if I can. If they're too difficult, I just have to take it easy on myself and say, I'm going to avoid that until I'm ready for it. Just being self-aware is really important for your self-care. What do I need in this moment? Support, reaching out when you need help. Trying to eat healthy, take care of myself, preventative medicine. It's a holistic approach, right, to being able to get through something like this.
Tell us more about the organizations or agencies that you have started.
Oh, wow. Okay. So very early on in the recovering of the memory process, I was looking for a support group, and it was right after COVID had hit, right? It was within the same year. It had not even been a year since COVID hit. And there was a couple in the area that since COVID was there, they all shut down. And I had great support with certain things, but I wanted to connect with other survivors. They didn't have it. And so I prayed about it and felt very led to start it. So I started Hope for Healing, women's support group for ladies who have suffered childhood sexual abuse. We meet once a week. November was our first year anniversary. And through that, we try to keep small groups because it's always easier to share when it's small like that. But I think we've had either 10 or 12 ladies through there. Some are committed for life, and they come every meeting, and some have only been there once. So I started that. I started the Beautiful Mind Training Academy. So with that, I help my clients. I just teach them stuff about mindfulness, meditation. I'm not a therapist, but we do a lot with cognitive behavioral therapy approaches, thoughts create our emotions create our behaviors, and help them to be able to retrain their own thought process to have a better quality of mind.
Awesome.
So I started those two.
So what advice do you have for others who have experienced or been victims of sexual trauma?
One of the biggest things that helps, which is one of the hardest things to do, is to talk about it. Find that one person, even if it's just one person, connect with your higher power, I guess, is of the politically correct, right? But you gotta be able to vocalize it, because when you're able to talk about it, it loses so much of its power. And it gives you your power back. You get to be in control of it. Talking about it, that's one of the biggest things for me.
What are your thoughts about individuals who say, and again, this is just something that came to mind as you're speaking, individuals who say he asked for it or she asked for it?
For the abuse?
Yes.
What do I say to those individuals?
What are your thoughts about that?
I think that the people who say that are uneducated on it. I don't necessarily, I like to take a positive spin on most things. I'm hopeful that their intention is just that they're not understanding it, which is great because it means they haven't been through it. But it's not helpful to survivors to do that. It's not at all, because we already suffered with so much shame and guilt of why didn't I talk? We get into this whole level of ambivalence where, especially once you're a teenager, get a little personal with it, if that's okay. People's bodies are made to respond to certain things, right? So they already struggle, what if I did enjoy that? Does that mean that it didn't count? Is that actually abuse? 100% it's abuse, we're designed to respond. And so, when people look at that, it would be helpful, and I would encourage them to take a minute and practice the pause, think before you speak, and is this going to help the survivor? And if it's not, you probably shouldn't say it.
Unfortunately, social media and the godless society that we live in validates taking advantage of other people and being okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at when I hear people say things like that. Oh, she asked for it.
Right.
Her dress was too short. She was doing. No one asks or wants to be abused. No one.
Never.
But again, social media and the society that we live in, I'll throw this into while I'm thinking about it. I was watching a reel yesterday, and this rapper was interviewing women. And I guess he's looking for a girlfriend. I don't know. But I could not believe, number one, the questions that he was posing to these young women. And number two, their responses to his questions, which were all provocative, which invited him to take advantage of them. They were agreeing to really being abused by this guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Oh, I'll do that. I'll do that. But all they could see at that moment was being in the presence of someone who is well known.
Right.
And I'm thinking about ladies, see, this is how it starts.
Right.
So there's some self-esteem issues going on there. There's some probably daddy issues going on there, some worth and value issues going on there. And I was just sickened by it, and they were okay with it.
Right. Well, you look at advertising, you look at TV shows, movies, music industry, they sensitize you to what it actually is, and they make it acceptable. Like, this is beautiful, this is cool, this is whatever.
Yeah, I remember back in the 80s, I'm dating myself, when Brooke Shields did the chick jeans, and she didn't have the top on, and she was talking about everything fits well or something like that. Oh, it was just, people were just outcrying, oh my God, this is an abomination.
Yeah.
And it was, but think about where we are now, to wearing nothing or next to nothing, and people are rah, chitty, you great girl.
Well, also another perspective on that, if we're saying that 1 in 4 girls are molested, they grow up seeing that. That's acceptable behavior.
Yes.
It's expected behavior.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, we're getting there. So what's next for you?
Well, I'm going to continue with my clients, working through a Beautiful Mind Training Academy. I would like to break into group coaching. I think that'd be a really interesting platform to do. I am going to continue with the Hope for Healing group as long as I can do it. With that, we're also looking in the next year to expand it, whether it is offering more services, if that's what we're led to do, or maybe starting separate locations. You know, the one where I have it right now is actually through my church, and so it's a ministry of the church, and the demographics for where we are at is highly Hispanic. I don't speak Spanish, so I have a lady that comes who is all on board of wanting to be able to offer that there with us, and which is beautiful, right? Because it affects it doesn't discriminate, right? It affects every one of us. It doesn't matter. And then I started to volunteer at it's a residential facility for girls who have been sex trafficked, and I volunteered there. I went there twice to volunteer, and I now work there. So that's what I'm doing 4 days a week, and I have my clients and hope for healing and whatever else is.
I want to speak to that just a bit, though. It's interesting that you brought that up because of some of the individuals that I see in my practice who have been sex trafficked.
Yeah.
So I want to say this to any teens that are perhaps watching, or your parents. It starts with, oh, I have a friend, I was invited to a party, oh, she introduced me to someone, they bought me a lot of stuff, oh, we met at the mall, and when you know that you're in debt to this individual who has purchased all of these things for you, and they want to be paid. And because you didn't tell your parents when you were sneaking out and having fun, now you have this financial obligation, and they tell you, well, you can make the money back like this.
Right.
And so when you think that you have just reached a place of, oh, I've worked it off, I paid it back. Oh, no.
They will always keep you in debt.
Always. See, because I paid for you to have that ride over to so-and-so's house.
Yeah.
And I've been paying for your meal, so you have to work a little longer.
Yeah.
And you're right, they know how to keep you in debt. So what I'm saying here tonight is that when you're surfing the web, when you're posting pictures of yourself that you know you're not supposed to post, sneaking off with your friends because you think it's fun, there's someone always watching and waiting.
Right.
And so they've been doing this a while. So don't think that you can outsmart them. They created the game.
Right.
So they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Recently, what I had read, a lot of times what they do nowadays, especially, is online. Okay, so they're getting them online, and they do that. They'll, especially with boys, do the gaming industry, right? So they get online, they're playing with these people that they only know their screen name, right? And then, I'll give you 500 free tokens or whatever it is, right? They give them tokens, or well, now you owe me a picture. Then they feel obligated. So the boy sends the picture. Now we're going to use that as blackmail. And it's very quick, very quick.
So how can our viewers contact you if they want to know more about your organizations or just want to have a conversation with you?
You can go to my website, beautifulmindtrainingacademy.com, and it has you get a free 30-minute session, so you can contact me that way, and I can talk to you through that. Okay. It also has my phone number on there.
So any final words or thoughts?
I just appreciate you so much allowing me to have this opportunity and to raise awareness. I think that's just the biggest thing. We got to get the word out there, get people talking.
You're so welcome. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Katrina Lawrence here with us.
Oh, can I read a poem?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll read a poem. I wrote a book through all of this. It's a short, small book of poetry, and it was just my way of being, because sometimes there's not ways to express what you're feeling.
Yeah.
You cannot verbalize it, and so writing it was a great outlet for me.
Okay.
So I will share. This one's a really beautiful one. Some are hard, a little difficult to read, but this one's one of my favorite. All right, it's called A Beautiful Soul. I met my soul this morning. We talked and laughed. She is strong and beautiful. She is gentle and powerful. She is me. I try to name her, my soul, but she is too free to be held with such constraint. I see now she doesn't need a name. She is too beautiful to be labeled. We danced again today. She is so easy to sit in the silence with. We hold each other and fall in love again. She is peace. She is resilient. She is me. I see her this morning in the garden. There is evergreen ivy climbing as high as I can see. It is producing fragrant white flowers. They smell light and fanciful. I talk about the abuse, who they were, and what they did to me. She listens to it all. She holds my hand in hers through every detail. When I am done bearing it all to her, she smiles at me with a tear running down her soft cheek. She tells me to smile with her, that they didn't get her. They didn't take her innocence or her identity. She is still whole. She is safe. She is loved. She is me. Tonight, we lie on the soft grass and stare up at the night sky. We count the stars. She holds my hand. We talk about heaven. I thank my Maker for protecting her, for keeping her perfect, untouched by evil. I tell her that God says we don't need to be afraid of the dark anymore. She smiles at me. She says she already knows that. She is honest and wise. She is brave. She is me. I met my soul this morning. We talked and laughed. She is strong and beautiful. She is gentle and powerful. She is me.
Chills just went up my spine. That is awesome. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. We'll just keep it going and bring up our next guest. But before she has a seat in this chair, she has a monologue for us. So prepare yourselves for Ms. Cassandra Berkeley. Thank you very much. Can we get one of you gentlemen to help the lady with the podium? And we want to thank our studio audience tonight. So happy to have them and our support staff here with us tonight at the Church of Christ in Kashmere Gardens. We want to thank the congregation for allowing us to come and to present this show.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Did you know that we have two faces? I can see the concern on your face, but really, let me explain. Many of us have two faces. See, there's the one face that we take selfies with and we post on Facebook and post on Instagram. We have our lashes and our eyebrows all arched and our cute earrings and makeup, everything looking fabulous. That's one face. But then there's another face. There's the face that we hide. It's the face that's full of pain. It's the face that's full of regret. It's the face that's full of guilt. It's the face that cries itself to sleep at night. It's the face that nobody wants anyone else to see because you feel ashamed. It's the face of guilt. It's the face of rejection. It's the face of being devalued. See, many of us have two faces. Look at me. What do you see? I'll tell you what I see when I look at me. When I look in the mirror, I see beauty. I see blessed and highly favored. I see above and not beneath. I see the lender and not the borrower. I see proud. I see creative. I see talented. I see intelligent. I see beauty and brains. But you know what? I didn't always see that. Because I too have had two faces. See, I recognized that I had two faces many years ago. I'll take you back back on a little ride in history, back to high school. 1995, I was 16 years old. You couldn't tell me anything. I was at the top of my class, top 10%. I was in the drama club. I was in the band. I was in the honor roll. I did all sorts of things. I was a mother's best dream. And guess what? Even on top of all of that, I dated the quarterback. Now, I don't know about y'all, but back in my day, if you dated the quarterback, you were something else. You were a force to be reckoned with. And there was nothing anybody could say to me because I was living on top of the world until that day. That day when the mask came on. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember my mom telling us, me and my sister, she was raising us a single mom. She was telling us that the very next morning she was going to take an exam. And then she was leaving real early in the morning. And so we said, okay. See, I was a very early riser, and my sister, she always slept in. So that next morning, I remember my mom calling out, Cassandra, Felicia, I'm leaving. Okay, mama, see you later. Now, it was no surprise that my sister didn't respond because everybody knew she slept in. But that day I decided to lay down just a little while longer. So I stayed in bed. My mom left and I was sitting there, laying there. Time passed and then all of a sudden I started hearing a shuffling across the hall. And I wondered, what could that be? I know my mom said she was leaving. I know she said she was gone. Mama? Mama? Is that you? Felicia? Felicia, is that you? There was silence. I thought it was strange. No one responded. I heard a little more shuffling again across the hall. Mama, did you come back? Is that you? There was silence. And then I saw a face peek around the corner of my door. A face I didn't recognize. A face that was scary to me. Who are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing in my house? Shut up. Shut up and don't look at me. Please, whatever you do, don't hurt me. I'll give you anything. I'll give you whatever you want, but just please don't hurt me. Turn around and don't look at me. If you look at me, I'll kill you. Tears begin to stream. I was afraid. I didn't know what to do. So I just laid there. And he climbed on top of me. This stranger, he climbed on top of me and put a pillow over my face and proceeded to rape me. And I cried out, please stop, please. I'm a virgin. Don't do this to me. Please stop. Don't do this. And I hoped and I prayed that somebody would come and rescue me. No one ever came. And then he let out this sigh and he got up and he said, if you move, I'll kill you. You stay right there. And he got up and he left. And I laid there and I cried. And I got up from there to go look for my sister. Had he harmed her? Had something happened to her? Where is she? And I ran to her room to find her afraid, hiding in the closet. And I said, why didn't you come out? Why didn't you say anything? And she said, I was afraid. I was scared. and we embraced each other, and we cried and we cried. And we called the police, and the police came. They got in contact with my mother, and my mother came home. That was the day that the mask came on. That was the day that I hid in shame. That was the day that I felt like I would be judged. That was the day that I felt like I was a statistic. That was the day that I began to cry myself to sleep. That was the day that I had two faces. But I'm so proud to stand before you today, saying that I no longer have two faces, saying that I am healed and I am whole, saying that I have forgiven and I have received justice. I come before you today to decree and declare that I have gone from trauma to triumph. So I leave you with these encouraging words. Life can issue blows that knock you to your feet. Can't eat, can't breathe, and bad memories steal your sleep. I've gotten knocked down so many times before. Pain pierced me so deep, rocked me to my core. Getting knocked down is inevitable, but staying down equals defeat. I was built for war. There's no way I'll bow down to a little heat. Like a palm tree bending in a storm, my leaves may shake, but my leaves may bend, but they will never break. The devil started early trying to keep me from my destiny. He didn't realize my trauma would lead to triumph because God has a plan for me. Attacking my body as an infant to overcoming poverty and rape. Satan like, man, this girl is something else. Let's see how much more she can take. Abandonment, rejection, mental and emotional abuse. He thought he had me, but Satan, I got news for you. The revolution will not be televised, but I'll tell you what will. The table that is being prepared for me and the enemies that will watch and feel like time is standing still. My pain and my victory has purpose, and yours does too. You didn't grow weary, and now your harvest is due. The tears that you have sown have not been in vain. It had to happen that way. Now the world will know who truly reigns. Remain steadfast and unmovable, remembering that without pressure, a diamond cannot be produced. Attacks will come, but favor will have your enemies calling a truce. Suffering may last a little while, but restoration may come. Don't fret about your trauma. You are on your way to triumph. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Cassandra. You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So you told us your story. I want to get into the YouTube video where nothing happened. Your case just turned into a cold case. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, so as I mentioned in the monologue, we called the police came, I went to the hospital, they did a rape kit, and so we were just told by the police, you will hear from us if we're able to, find any leads. And so a month passed by, a year passed by, several years passed by. Eventually, after about 5 or 6 years, I never heard anything back. And so I just opted to live behind the mask. And so 15 years later, I got a call from the police department, and they told me that my rape kit that I had tested that I gave in 1995, that it sat in a room untested for over 10 years. And so there was actually a Houston Chronicle article about it. There were over 4,000 rape kits that sat in a room. There was an audit done of the rape kit room, and they discovered these thousands and thousands of tests. And of those thousands of tests, mine was one of the first to come back with a match. And so, at that time, they told me that I needed to come down to the police station to, look at pictures and see if I could identify who it was. And, once I did that, then, they confirmed that the photo that I selected was the actual, perpetrator. And he was actually already in jail for another sexual assault. And so he got an additional 25 years for my assault as well.
How does something like that happen? Forgive me, I just need a second. How does something like that happen? 15 years of unanswered questions, of not being able to bring closure to this. What was said to you about that?
Honestly, nothing.
Wow.
I didn't get an explanation. I didn't, and to be honest, I was in such shock because in my mind, I had moved on with my life. That's my past, right? So here is my past staring me in the face that I thought I had gotten over, but realized later in life I had just stuffed it away. And so, there was really no explanation given. This is a issue that is nationwide. There is an organization that I follow in the backlog, and they specifically focus on different cities and states where there's a backlog of rape kits, and they're trying to get laws changed and things of that nature so that this does not continue to happen to people. For me, it was 15 years. For some, it's been 20. For others, it's been longer. And so, my goal is to, be a part of that work so that this does not happen to other people, so that justice can truly be served, so that you can truly, move on and work through the healing process as you go through, overcoming that trauma.
I want to go back though, and I want to go back to that 16-year-old girl. How did life change for you? Because I'm sure, well, even before that, was this someone that you knew or had he been watching you?
So no, it was actually a stranger. What it appeared is that he was watching the house. And so he saw my mom leave, and I don't know if he knew we were there or if he thought no one was there. But his intention, what I understand, was to break into the home to rob it. I don't know that to be the fact. There was a neighbor that was actually sitting outside and saw him jump our fence. But he didn't know what was going on and opted not to get involved. And so after that happened, I had no clue who he was. I did, like I said in the monologue, I was able to see his face because he peeked into my room. But after a moment, the threat came, to turn and not look at him anymore.
And I'm sure that's a face you would never forget.
No.
And even after 15 years, you were able to just.
Yes, it was, and I hate to be super spiritual, but it was almost supernatural, the way I was drawn to the picture. It was as if it had just happened. And even the police officer was like, they said, you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. And they're like, that's him. That's the person in the DNA.
Now going to how did life change for you? And as you're just thinking about that, I'm asking that question because I've noticed a character down where my mom is. And it's just ironic to me that at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., this person is standing on their porch. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? And so as I think about that, I think about my own safety, now that I'm providing care for my mom. And I'm like, I'm trying to begin early. I don't want to leave too early because I'm really suspicious. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be that way, but
Yeah.
because of what we do, we're also a clinician. What we see, everything just is kind of red flag, and we live, on a red flag. So I'll go back to how life changed for you.
I mean, I was always on high alert. It was difficult to watch certain television shows. It was difficult to hear certain music. I was very sensitive to the word rape. There were people when I was in college that would joke about, the word. And for me, I felt like I was constantly living on the edge emotionally, because not very many people knew back then. So I carried that from high school into college. And then there was a breaking point for me in college when I realized that I am supposed to share my story. I was actually walking through the student union building, and one of my friends, she came through, full of people. She came and she just collapsed in my arms, bawling, crying. And I said to her, "What is going on? What's happening?" And she said, "I was raped last night." And I just started bawling with her. And I was able to share my story with her to say, we can walk through this together. You're gonna be okay, And it was that moment when I stopped, living beyond the mask and saying that, okay, I'm not going to allow this trauma to have dominion over me, but I'm going to take my power back and use it to help other people.
Let me share this. This may seem a little naive to some people, but my daughter graduated from Prairie View last year, and we were having the same conversation, and she said, "Oh, Mom, we have domestic violence teams on campus, we have rape camp," and it was just like, you know what I'm saying, just this roll off the tongue, and just, you don't even have to think about it kind of conversation. And I said, rape teams, rape, what's going on? She said, "Oh, Mom, it happens all the time. Kids coming on campus and moving in together, and then they fight each other because they meet somebody else, and it just, I never even thought about that. When I was on the UIT issue, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about going and getting my education and leaving there and going on and doing something great. But to hear that says to me that we have a pandemic situation happening here. And I'm gonna throw this out at you, and why is this happening? Why is rape kind of like the end thing? Nobody respects the no. What are your thoughts about that?
One of my initial thoughts is I believe that we, and I say we as in the world, has just become overly sexualized. Television, music, all of these things, and I believe that there are not enough people who are willing to stand up and advocate for, the voice of no, regardless of what you have on, regardless of what the conversation was, regardless of what the agreement was beforehand, or lack of agreement. No is no. And I believe that, there is, it's just culture itself has become desensitized to the importance of respecting boundaries.
How has this changed your life, even now as an adult?
It's changed my life in a lot of ways. I didn't go to therapy until, I can't remember how old I was, but I was definitely in my 30s when I went to therapy for the first time. And I remember when the rape happened, my mom asked me, "Do you want to go to therapy?" "No, I don't want to go to therapy. They're just going to judge me." I didn't really have an idea of what it was. And so just going through life, getting married and getting divorced, realizing that even that trauma I took into my relationships. Not realizing subconsciously there was this fear of being hurt or harmed, and having this tension in my body when my ex-husband wanted to comfort me or console me, but there was still this inability to be completely comfortable. And so I think that, and just being afraid of people's opinions and things of that nature. But now that I have gone through therapy and worked through those things, I'm able to recognize it. And there are times it still comes up. There are moments where I'm like, I'm sorry. It is this subconscious fear, of constantly being overly aware. And I think another thing that I've realized even within the last year, so I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I am extremely overly protective of her. And I have had to even work through therapy in that, not wanting to raise her in a way that she can't trust people, or raise her in a way that she doesn't understand that there is a difference between good and bad touch, and it's okay to be touched, but it must be appropriate, right? And so I am still learning, she's 5, still learning how to balance raising her in a way that is not in fear, but in a way that is empowering.
Exactly.
And so those are just a few ways that I've seen it, impact me negatively. Now, positively, it has really ignited a fire in me, a fire to use my voice, a fire to empower other people to use their voices, a fire to use my platform to encourage people, to uplift people. And it also is what geared me towards becoming a therapist and, launching my nonprofit and my therapy practice, conquering the obstacles of painful experiences, because I do believe that we can do more than cope, we can conquer. And so it has helped me to fulfill my purpose, what I feel is my purpose here on earth.
Now, I skipped over your bio because I was so involved.
Okay.
So just have at it. Tell us about you and your accomplishments and what you're doing.
So yes, I started conquering the obstacles of painful experiences back in 2015. And so we offer, therapeutic interventions. I do workshops, retreats, things that will help encourage, teach techniques on how to deal with trauma triggers. You mentioned earlier EMDR. I am trained in EMDR, so I offer that therapy, practice to other individuals who have gone through trauma.
And tell the viewers what EMDR is and what it is designed to do.
Yes, so EMDR is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It is a type of therapy that is specific to individuals who have experienced some type of trauma. And what it does is, one thing, let me kind of backtrack a little bit. We don't realize when we experience trauma that there is an impact to the brain. And when we go through these traumatic experiences, it stores memories in our brain, and sometimes those memories are locked away, and we don't realize that they're triggering us in different situations. So what EMDR does is it helps you reprocess those negative thoughts and cognitions in a way that you can reprocess them so they no longer have the same emotional charge or impact on you. So it doesn't mean that you no longer remember what you went through, but it does help you to no longer be as emotionally charged so that you can actually handle the emotion of what you went through and not be overcome by it.
Awesome. I asked Katrina this, so now I'm asking you, what is your self-care regimen? Because it's hard being a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
We listen to people day in and day out, and we don't want to take that home, but we want to be empathetic to people and their needs. So what is your self-care routine?
I need to do a little better with that. But I still attend therapy. I feel like it's just important for me to do check-ins. I take time off. I will shut my calendar down. I will block time. And offer, if you have an emergency, here are some resources. But I know it is important for me to recharge. And so I will take time away. I probably don't take as much time away as I should, but typically I'll travel, massages, those types of things, hang out with friends, things of that nature. But I am definitely intentional with therapy as well as making sure I take breaks. My goal in 2024 is to at least take a break once a quarter where I actually get away. And spend time away from home and all of that, but that's my goal.
Oh, good. I learned very early on in this business to take breaks. I remember when I started my practice, I was like, oh yeah, I have to work 7 days a week, I gotta get this thing off the ground, and I was doing that. I mean, I didn't work all day. I may have 2 or 3 patients on Saturday or whatever, but that quickly caught up with me. And I said, you know what, no, I'm gonna have my Saturday and Sunday off. And then it got to a place where someone would call and say, hey, I'm not coming. I'm like, okay, I can go home. Because now I value being able to just decompress and do my own introspection and my own therapy work,
For sure.
So, all right. So what are some, preventative tips or tips, period, that you have for our viewers regarding self-care and safety?
For self-care, I would definitely say, make sure you surround yourself with a support system. I hear people say all the time, especially people who've come from broken families, well, I don't have anybody. There are so many support groups and small groups and things of that nature that you can get connected to. And even though they may not be blood family, I encourage everyone to make sure you're connected with someone because you cannot do life alone.
That's right.
And so what I think is most significant in self-care is making sure that you get connected with someone. I also think it's important, to get therapy. And find someone. I share this with people all the time. Choosing a therapist is like choosing a doctor. Every therapist is not going to be the right therapist just because they have credentials behind their name. And so I encourage everyone, interview, do consultations, see if it's a good fit, ask questions, what is their approach? How do they deal with certain things to really get comfortable? And then if you're not quite there yet with going to therapy, at minimum, journal.
Yes.
Get it out. So many of us are what I would call emotionally bloated because we take in and we deal with all of these things and we never express it and we don't talk about it and we sweep it under the rug. We're behind that mask, and so the greatest self-care is to take that mask down and start telling your story, even if it's just writing it in a journal until you're comfortable with sharing it with someone else that can help you walk through the healing journey.
What I'm finding, or what I've seen lately, is when I've asked patients to journal and express just what you've expressed, they tend to even shy away from writing about their trauma. I went back and I erased that page, or I tore that page out. Well, why? Because it just seems so harsh to say. Well, that's part of the healing, is really revealing what you're thinking. Even if you don't send this letter to this person or you just keep it to yourself, you're right. It is a way to release everything that you think about a situation, about a person, or whomever. So it's just interesting that people, even in their private place, will think that I'm doing too much.
And a lot of it is, you see what you've gone through as shameful, and you don't want anyone to know, and you don't want anyone to judge you. But the reality is, in order for you to truly heal, you have to release.
That's it.
And even if if it's not writing, draw it. If you can't draw it, write a poem, sing the song, write a song. I actually have clients that I work with, and you love music, write a song about it. Write some lyrics. You don't have to sing it to anyone, but if that's the way you express yourself, use what you have in order to get those thoughts, emotions, feelings out.
Destigmatize therapy for those people who are on the fence or who just absolutely believe that I'm not doing it.
So therapy is a safe place. Therapy is a confidential place. I think many people say, well, I don't want to go to therapy because then someone's going to find out my business. And we are bound by very strict guidelines. And I don't know about any other therapist, but I like what I do. And I don't want to lose my license, from breaking confidentiality. And so we take that very seriously. It's a safe place. Not only that, it's an unbiased place. It's a place where you can go where this person doesn't know you. They don't have any preconceived notions. They are just there to hear you, to listen, and to offer you guidance through your situation. And so I had to personally learn that for myself. And now as a therapist, I'm trying to pull down the walls, of individuals who just don't think that it would work for them. And I would say this as well, you may go to therapy and it might not work with that therapist.
Exactly.
But don't give up. Keep trying and interview and do consultations until you find a good fit and a comfortable fit. But it is a place where you can actually get help and be in an environment where you won't be judged or looked down upon.
Now, this wasn't one of the questions, but if you can't speak to it, not, you won't, But there are different types of clinicians.
Mm-hmm.
You have your LPCs, your LMSWs, your psychologists, your psychiatrists. Can you share or tell the viewers the difference between those four?
Yes. So I'll start with psychiatrists. So psychiatrists, their main focus is medication, prescribing medication that helps with mental health disorders. So they are prescribing psychotropic medications that may help with anxiety, depression. Sometimes people will incorporate medication with therapy depending on how severe their concerns are. So a psychologist is someone that can actually, from a doctoral perspective, can do psychological testing and assessing. Psychologists also provide therapy as well, but most of them are doing more of the assessment pieces so that you can get an official diagnosis. And then you have your LPCs, licensed professional counselors, very similar to licensed clinical social workers. In the world of therapy, they're pretty synonymous. An LCSW and an LPC both offer clinical interventions for mental health diagnoses. And then you have your LMFTs, the licensed marriage and family therapists. They also provide therapy, but their main focus is marriages, couples, and families. And so you can go to any of the above to get the help that you need.
That's right. Thank you. All right, so what's next for you? You have your nonprofit, and you've written books.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's next for you?
So what's next for me? So the monologue or this story, I actually wrote a book about it. It's called Case Closed. That's one of my books. And I'm also a playwright. So I wrote a play about it about 5-7 years ago that I released in Houston. So my next big project is to turn that play into a movie. And so hopefully very soon, Case Closed coming to a theater near you. I'm going to believe for that. So that is what I have on my plate. And I also recently released what are called COPE cards, Conquering the Obstacles of Painful Experiences cards. So they're mental health cards for those that may not quite be ready for therapy. Or if you are ready for therapy, they're still a great asset. It includes 5 affirmation cards in the box, 30 counseling cards with prompts. So it'll give you some clinical technique, and then it'll give you a prompt to journal about so you can apply that technique. And then there are 25 encouraging statements so that you can basically daily encourage yourself through whatever situation or life circumstance you may be going through.
That's awesome. And where can people find those?
They're on my website, morethancope.com. You can order my books there. My books are also available on Amazon as well, but they are also on my website. My other book is a 45-day devotional. It's called More Than a Conqueror, and it's 45 short daily devotionals that encourage you through difficult times.
Okay. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts is break the silence. It is imperative that we get to a place as a community that we embrace everyone's story. Your story is not my story is not your story, but there is freedom and power in sharing our stories. And so I would just encourage everyone who's watching, break the silence.
All right. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
So we have Sandra Berkeley, and we're going to just take a short break, like a minute or so, while we switch things around and prepare for our panel discussion. Malcolm, I'm not sure if folks are able to call in, or are they texting, or?
We have several people tuned in, and they
Let me
are.
get you a mic, hold on just a second. Christina, will you give them that microphone? That's one for the counter.
Miss Victoria Jackson is tuned in, as always. Miss Victoria Jackson is tuned in. Her question is, was there a challenge in writing your books or your play?
The challenge was being consistent. It took several years to write both when it really should not have. But the challenge was being consistent and really getting connected to people that could help me with the areas that I was not well knowledge in. I didn't have a lot of knowledge, well versed in is what I'm trying to say. So building a team and being consistent were the biggest challenges. But once I put my mind to it and got connected with some other individuals, I was able to see all of those things manifest fairly quickly.
And I stand to be corrected. We have one other person who is going to come forward, Imani Davenport, and she is a young person of sexual assault. All right.
Other than that question, Ms. Victoria Jackson, we don't have a lot of comments. They were pretty much just cheering you on, saying amen, way to go, great testimony. For the other panelists, they were cheering her on. Other than that, Ms. Victoria Jackson said you definitely recommend therapy. She definitely recommends therapy to deal with trauma, or it will deal with you.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. All right, everyone, help me welcome Imani Davenport, who will also share her story of sexual trauma. I knew this young lady before she knew herself. I've known her parents for many, many years, sang. Her father is an excellent musician, and I was a vocalist in the band that he performed in, and now you are your own vocalist. Let's go.
Mic check, all right. I try my best. I remember growing up and watching her perform and just taking on the stage, and those are some of my fondest memories. So I appreciate you doing
Well, I have laid the mic down. No more singing.
Ain't too late to pick it back up.
Oh, no. But again, thank you for joining us. We didn't really plan or have any questions, but I thought that you could just share your story and let folks know that this isn't exclusive to any particular age group. It can happen to anyone. So
So, I guess I'll just share the timeline. So the first time that I experienced sexual behavior, I was 5 years old. And by the time I was 13, I had lost my virginity to someone that was very close to me. And he was significantly older. And I didn't realize that it was sexual assault until someone was like, you shouldn't have been with that person. He shouldn't have had that kind of access to you. And going back to the years in between, 5 and 13, I had been just consistently sexually mistreated by people that I knew and trusted. And so I'm 21 now, about to be 22, and it's still a process to not necessarily just overcome that trauma, but not treat people as I was treated. I don't want to bleed on people for someone else's stabbing, you know? So I'm learning that not all men are bad, for one, and two, hurt people hurt people. It doesn't matter what you've gone through, it doesn't matter if it was sexual assault, physical abuse, we all have trauma, and we have to learn how to overcome said trauma in order to not continue the cycle.
When you realize that, oh, I was abused, what were like the next steps for you? Did you go to your parents immediately, or what was that like?
Yeah, so I went to my parents. Unfortunately, the law takes a long time to process things. So I just recently got my first, I guess you would call the assailant. Just got him locked up for life. So, so my parents, they took all the necessary actions that they could. We went to therapy. Unfortunately, I did not continue it as I probably should have, but I'm definitely looking to get back into it now. I realized that it had a lot of significant benefits that I could have reached for by now if I had just stayed the course. But
I want to ask this question, and forgive me if it comes across in another way, in the wrong way. When you say that this person had access to you and then this person violated you, did you not know that what this person was doing was wrong?
when he approached me under the guise of being a shoulder to cry on for the things that had happened to me previously.
Wow.
And then he asked me, would you tell if I did it to you? And I turned back into that little 11-year-old girl, frozen and just like, what? And allowed it to happen because it was like, he might hurt me. And he might not allow me to escape out of this room if, I don't say yes. So, yeah, he took advantage of the position that I was in and the access that he had to me. Not everyone is your friend. Not everyone has your best intentions at heart. And so sharing your testimony isn't always as effective for certain people as it would be for someone else. So I'm just a lot more careful now about speaking. But of course, platforms like this that are helpful for people are more than welcome.
How has this ordeal changed your life?
People my age, I can't relate to them. Like, I'm an old person. Like,
In comparison?
yeah, it's like, it's so many things I had to grow up on and grow up faster than people my age. And now I'm so like mature, but parts of me are stuck at those stages where I was violated. It's like there's kind of a balance that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And so I guess my biggest developmental issue has been like relating to people and feeling
just gonna put this out there for everybody. I don't know if you're still singing or not. You are. When I say phenomenal folks, can you do a little something for us?
Ooh, all right.
Phenomenal.
Lord, if I find favor in your sight, Lord, please hear my heart's cry. I'm desperately waiting to be where you are, across the highest desert. I'll travel near or far for your glory. I'll do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King. For your glory, I will do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King. I won't be where you are. I gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. I gotta be where you are, because peace is where you are. Joy is where you are. Love is where you are. Peace is where you are. I wanna be where you are. I can't be where you are. I wanna be where you are. I could be where you are.
I told you. That is a ministry of itself. Thank you so much. And I just pray to God that He will give you the desires of your heart, and that you will continue to be all that He has purposed you to be. I thank you. All right, guys, so we're going to take a break and come back with our panel discussion. If you have a question that you want to text in, you can do that. We have Victoria Jackson who's also going to join us. Now, I want to say this, Victoria has not been a victim of sexual trauma, but she has been a victim of domestic violence. And so there is a correlation between sexual trauma and domestic violence, and so she's going to talk a little bit about that. Yes, sir. Malcolm, I see your finger up.
I had to put my deacon finger up for a minute.
Okay.
Being silly, I forgot the words, but anyway, I will concentrate on the listening audience. Dee Rochelle says, your voice is beautiful. Maroon Beauty 21 on YouTube says, such a beautiful voice. Keitra Lindsay on YouTube says, oh my God, for your glory, hallelujah. And everybody, there's about 6 more comments, everybody enjoy it. And that's what I was about to say, being silly. Your shows making people cry. I'm gonna have to talk to you after the show.
I'm going to put you on the spot though.
Okay,
Have you taken an ancestry test yet?
the ancestry test.
DNA test?
Not yet, but I filled out all the paperwork. The ancestry test is the last thing I'm gonna do. I'm assuming it's blood work. Is that what it is?
Saliva.
Saliva?
We're
Yeah.
helping Malcolm find his birth family, folks. I just want to bring you up to speed.
Yes, adopted at 18 months old. 53 now, 54, just made 54, November 17th. Never met my biological parents, so as my birthday present, one of my birthday presents is a good doctor, is what I call her. Gifted me an ancestry.com, so I could find my biological parents and my family. So she loves to put me on the spot with that. She had me crying on another show. The show that initiated the gift was a 14-year-old mother who gave her child up some 30 years ago, and now they're reunited. So that's what initiated my birthday gift. 2 weeks later. Welcome to the Wisdom Walk with Dr. Annette show, everybody. We are at
Church of Christ, Kashmere Gardens. I want to make this quick announcement though. So next Friday, guys, we will not have a show. I'm committed to an post-adoptive parenting event for the weekend with one of our adoption agencies that was also on the show, Arms Wide. So we do an interview retreat every year. So our last show for 2023 will be December 22nd. And we will have Linda MC and her daughter, Donna Weaver, here talking about special education services, a new child care facility that they have opened. And I'm working on getting someone to come to speak specifically about autism in children. It's so prevalent in boys, but it's also being, I guess, more diagnosed now than ever before, or people are really paying attention to it. So I'm trying to get someone to come and speak about that. So again, next Friday we won't have a show. The last show is December 22nd, and then we'll start again at God Wills in January. So let's go ahead and get our panel together, and Victoria Jackson is gonna join us, and Mr. Jeremy Johnson is setting it up for us. So just give us a few seconds. Mr. Malcolm, do you want to put your face on the screen before we get into it? And I forgot to mention that Cameron Shepard is here with us tonight, working with our tech guy, although we're not doing a whole lot of tech stuff tonight, but still, I wanted him to meet Malcolm, and we want to thank him for being here with us.
All right, everybody, this is something new. The good doctor wanted to get started going live on location. This is the second live on location interview we've done. The first one was at Lolanitis Gym in Atascocita, Texas. This is the second interview, so y'all forgive us as we work out the kinks. This is something new. This is a brand new ballpark for us. We're usually live in the studio. Our studio is located at 4201 Cypress Creek Parkway, Houston, Texas, 77068. We're in Suite 540. That's where our shows are usually located. But this is something new she's bringing to the ball game, and she wants to be live on location, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. Here in the next couple of months, she will be live. Dr. Tony Proud.
Yes, in January, I will be live in Prague, interviewing one of the professional basketball teams there. And so I'm excited about that. And also, we're hoping to connect with someone not in Prague, in Portugal. And then connect with someone also in Prague. And then we have an event coming up I'm jumping ahead in February, and it will be on a yacht for hydrotherapy. And so we'll be taking some people out and letting them experience what hydrotherapy is all about. I don't know if you can get us all, I don't have to be, you can't, okay, well maybe you ladies can come in together and I can sit over there and ask my questions. I don't necessarily have to be on camera. They see me every week, okay? So we'll pull out a chair. He's gonna work his Malcolm magic. You gonna kick it to get us on? Oh, okay, all right. All right, so I have a few questions for you ladies. But before I get into it, I guess Cameron, can you see if there are any questions for the panelists? So if you have questions, folks, go ahead and type your questions in. We have Mr. Cameron on the scene tonight, and he will convey your questions to us, and we'll get those answered. I can start here, though. I'll start here and then work my way around. All right, so this is Katrina, everybody, just in case you're just tuning in. So Katrina, who's here? Is it? Okay, all right. We talked earlier about numbers, about statistics. And I know that this is one of yours, but I'm just gonna take it down like this, okay? People tend to think that men cannot be victims of rape. Why do you think that, and help me with the therapeutic term, why do you think that it is either unreported or underreported, or that we don't know more about it?
I think it's underreported because of the stigma around you can't rape a man. I think that there's a lot of shame also, maybe more shame than, I know all of us women go through a lot of shame, but with men, society has, for a man, you have to be tough, and it maybe makes them feel weak if they are reporting something like that. That's just my uneducated guess, I think, but.
That sounds pretty spot on to me, Would anybody else like to add to that, or?
So I literally just went on a date with a man who told me he disguised it under the guise, he's like, oh, you're not better than me, shorty. I lost my virginity at 7. I was like, huh? What do you mean? How? And he said, there was this 14-year-old girl, and she had sex with him. And he said it so lightly, like he was proud of it. And I looked at him and I said, you know you were sexually assaulted, right? And he said, no, but I enjoyed it. And so it was okay. It's different for a guy than it is for a girl because it felt good and that's okay. And it was like, you don't even realize that you were taken advantage of. And then I realized he knew it, but he didn't want to acknowledge it because it's too painful to think of being emasculated by a woman, And so it presented itself in many conversations we've had and behaviors that he showed that he just couldn't accept the fact that he had been taken advantage of. And so I can see how that would be very hard for a man to come forward and say, this was taken from me and it was taken by a woman. It's already hard enough for us to do it. So I can't imagine what it is that they mentally have to go through, especially in a world where they're taught they can't have emotions or, be vulnerable. So.
Wow, that's deep, and you're absolutely right. Men are supposed to cry, suck it up, and we have created a society or generations of monsters because we haven't allowed them to feel, and we haven't allowed them to be able to process that out and talk that out. So yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. Cassandra, what can we do to, I guess, erase that stigma or to bring more awareness to the fact that men are also victims of sexual crimes?
I think exactly what we're doing right now, having a panel full of men, I think the more people become comfortable with sharing their story, then the more impact you have. And so creating spaces for men to talk and to share, I believe, is how we begin to break the stigma.
I think just getting them to the table, though, that's a chore. Because again, we're dealing with, I don't want to be bothered with that, don't bring me in. Yes, sir.
I have someone for your panel. I'm not sure if he'll attend, but I'll tell his story right quick. He was 10. An 18-year-old senior in high school took advantage of him. Back then, he was a typical boy, like she explained, and was pounding his chest. But now, as I think he's 37, he's torn up.
Of course.
He can't, who was that? That was you. Also, you can't adjust with people. You can't, you don't see eye to eye. You don't see life the way people your own age group does. He's the same way. She was 18. So he's, back then he was a typical boy, oh yeah, I got an 18-year-old girlfriend. But now it's 37, he's torn up. I mean, he'll talk to me and he'll go to crying, because now he understands that he was taken advantage of and manipulated. So yeah, I'll talk to him if y'all decide to put this panel together.
I want to talk to Victoria, who is a mother of 4 young men, 4 sons. And what's your message to your sons about respecting no? And I say that because the society that we live in, it takes literally nothing for someone to say, oh, he did, oh, we did lock him up. So what's your message to your sons about, or what has been your message to your sons about respecting them?
No means no. I've always taught them to be cautious, be mindful who you're dating. Also, look at that person. You have a mother, you have a daughter, you have a grandmother. Be respectful and be mindful and more intentional on, dating and being in abstinence. Scripturally, I always invoke the fear. That's a sin. God is going to eat you. And been hoping that, it remains to me, or, that's not realistic. But just no means no. Be respectful and just cut out. They say no, that's it.
I asked you this question, and I asked you the correlation between domestic violence and sexual trauma, and you were going to share some findings with us.
Okay, so the trauma is what we have in common, and the abuser used the abuse to take control of us. So people wonder why we stay, because there's, well, if you leave, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill your family. If you tell anybody, I'm gonna kill you. You may not get a chance to see that person, or inflict harm on someone close to you or that you love. And it's that control thing, and it eventually takes captivity. And once you get out of it, it takes you a long time to get out of it.
I didn't hear that tonight, but I want to ask, you work with young ladies who have been sex trafficked. Is it that hole that she's talking about that keeps them there? I'm gonna keep doing this because I want to say that there are some who want to be a part of that. And I've heard them say, oh, I wanted to do that. I wanted to, and I can't understand that. So have you heard some of the young ladies say that? I wanted to do this, or do you think it's just they're in so deep they can't get out?
As far as working at the facility, I just started there. So just starting to build connections with the girls that are there. But I know from a brain's perspective, When you're conditioned and when you are brainwashed is what is happening, especially when you're that young. Those connections, because it's repeated events, right? And so those connections are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And what happens is no one tells them you can stop thinking this way, right? We have to retrain our brain into what we want it to be, and we have to make those connections stronger. Whenever we grow up, that's normal. It's not something that is necessarily bad, right? Like, because we're being told by these adults, this is what we want you to do, this is acceptable, we're praised for it, and so then we start thinking, okay, well, this is good. And so it takes a lot of work, repetition, to be able to get out of that mindset.
So, what can the faith-based community do to help bring awareness to this? Because we don't want to talk about sex in any capacity, okay? And to me, this is a place where we need to be talking about it. So, what message, I guess, do you have for the faith-based community to remove, I guess, the fear that's associated with having those conversations? And I guess just a way, what would be an approach, an idea for them to, again, bring more awareness and to talk to people about it?
I think open dialogue, I really believe that it is important for the faith community to stop hiding behind the Bible. And what I mean by hiding behind the Bible is, well, this is what the word says, go do it. Well, it's not that simple. Just like they say, oh, you were raped, you were molested, pray about it, God will heal you, forgive. No, right? We have to be in the faith community more intentional about helping and being honest and open about the realities of what is happening, not just in the world, but in the church. And so I believe that when we decide to be honest about what is actually happening and the way the enemy is attacking what is going on in the church and have open and honest conversations, it is the transparency that I believe that will change things. And if more pastors, ministers, deacons, deaconess, whatever terminology you use for whatever faith background you come from, if more individuals would be vulnerable and open about what they went through or what they experienced, then it would open the door for other people to feel comfortable to talk about it. Really quickly, I grew up in a Christian home. But the one thing my mother said to me about sex, and this is just what she knew, I don't blame her for it, but the one thing she said to me about sex is, you better not bring any babies home. And so I'm like, well, I mean, is that it? And so we gotta have more detailed, in-depth conversations. Talk about what's happening in your body. These kids have real life hormones happening, what do you do with that? What about what's happening in your mind as you're processing, as you're going through puberty? We have to start having these open dialogue conversations in the church so that people don't feel ostracized and hide it and stay basically consumed in what I would call a prison because you don't feel like you can actually talk about it.
Good doctor.
Yes.
I'd like to add to that.
Yes.
When we were growing up, I'm not sure, can y'all turn your mics off?
Yeah.
When somebody else is talking, that'll cut down on the. Everybody's off? Okay. Okay. When we were growing up, a lot of. When we were growing up, the message from our parents, I'm not sure how young some of us are in the crowd, but if you're 40 plus, the message was, whatever happens in this house stays in this house.
And we hate it.
And we hate it.
And you hate it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that I'm just bouncing off of what Cassandra said. If we could get away from that kind of thinking in the home, and be a little more transparent, you know, instead of saying that to your children, tell them whatever happens in this house, you need to let me know what's going on. Because kids are, you know, I'm scared of mom and dad, they're gonna whip me if I tell what's going on in my bedroom at night. That's the message. So I'm just wanting to bounce off of what Cassandra said and be transparent in the homes.
That is why our culture is scared to have therapists go see a counselor, because of that, because that's the way it's always.
So what you're saying is, we don't, I think I went dead. Thank you.
So you're saying that we don't seek therapy because, we're told to keep everything in the house?
That's part of the reason why we have some of us now that don't want to get the therapy because they feel that it's wrong, but I was brought up to do this, they said, no, don't put people in your business. But if you don't, you'll be like me in 2019 and your cars are crying, not knowing what's going on with you because you dealt with your trauma, you just buried it. And you still have, you know, years to go to unpack that stuff. So that's why I encourage you. I encourage my kids because we've all been through some trauma, whether it be grief, losing someone, something that happened in school, or even what I went through. So I encourage my kids, especially my oldest one, the most. And I don't teach them to be quiet, you know, talk to me. If somebody tells you something, talk to me, tell me, don't tell me, don't tell your name. I tell my grandkids, that's a fear. I have little grandkids, you know, and sometimes you become so protective and you're scared that something happening too. You take the thing like that, but there's so many predators out here.
Good thing about that. So the culture plays a huge role in our inability to seek therapy and or to actively participate because of things we've been taught. That's great. So, Ronnie, what are some things that you see in your peer group that are just disturbing for you? Because you mentioned earlier seeing life through different lenses now. What are some things that you see that you believe or feel are just pushing the boundaries, risky, and I hate to say this, I really do, and I don't mean it this way, you're really asking for it?
Yeah, so I felt distanced from people that were in my age bracket, but it didn't keep me from doing the things that I shouldn't have been doing to try to make myself feel like I was a part. I was very promiscuous and I didn't do drugs or anything like that, but I've been surrounded by it to the point where now it's normal. It's just something that people do. To me, and this change happened very, very recently, but I got so tired of sex, it was like, I'm done. But now I can see how wrong it is and the effects that it has on people's like mental health and spiritual health, and how much it just breaks you down to the point where you can't even recognize yourself anymore. And it's so common amongst people in my age group to try and fill that void with sexual favors and sexual acts, not realizing that you're digging yourself deeper and deeper into a pit and you can't get yourself out without God. And so God's on the back burner, sex is on the forefront, drugs are on the forefront, all of the things you could possibly think of that are worldly are on the forefront. So that concerns me, but I personally want to start within my own home and work my way out. I can't take on the world. I've tried. It's heavy and I can't do it. So I want to work on myself and wait till marriage and help my husband be his helpmate and raise good children and have my children raise good children. The best best thing that we could do is be good stewardesses in our own home. And that's what's missing now. That's why so many of us are lost, because we lack that guidance and that teaching, and not just someone telling us what to do, but someone leading and actually showing us how to do it. We all lack that so much, so now we're all trying to figure it out and just try our best not to be like our parents, not realizing they had some good nuggets, you know?
But Imani, does your generation want that? I hear you saying it because you've had some experiences. But what I'm experiencing is, oh, you can't tell me nothing. I'm not doing that. Get out of my face.
So where that comes from? That comes from a generation of children that were oppressed and told that they couldn't think thoughts, they couldn't have abnormal behaviors, they couldn't express themselves, they couldn't talk to mommy and daddy when something was going wrong, they didn't have that support. So now it's like these same people that treated me like, you're a child, stay in a child's place, you don't know anything, I have years on you. It's like, now you want to tell me what to do, and it's like, how can I trust you? How can I accept that from you? And you made me feel like once I became your age, or once I became an adult, now I would have input, but I'm still being treated as though my feelings don't matter, my experiences don't matter. And coming from someone that's like about to be 22, after everything I've gone through, people are like, oh, you don't know anything, you're just a child, baby. You've been past it a while. Like, I have a lot going through my brain, and it's like people make us feel like it doesn't matter simply because we haven't gone around the sun the same amount of times they have. So it's very hard to forget all of those years of oppression and just say, oh, well, let me go and learn from my elders and listen to them and do whatever they say. You know, it's definitely a process. I feel like though, deep down, every single person, no matter their age, their background, their ethnicity, like everyone wants to be led in the right direction. But it's those experiences that we've had in life that keep us from actively seeking it and not looking in the wrong places. Amen.
I'm gonna say something my grandma used to say. You've been here before. Thank you for that. So we are preparing to conclude, but we're gonna do something tonight because we do have a couple of tables, vendor tables here, and we want to show our guests their products. And so Malcolm's going to take the camera back. We're gonna hit the lights, guys, if you all can bring the lights up, and then we'll come back because I want to offer our guests just a small token of appreciation for them being here tonight with the Wisdom Law. I want to thank you all for tuning in. So Malcolm's gonna go around to Katrina and Cassandra's tables. It's the O table and show you their works, and Imani and Victoria will just stick around just for a few minutes because I didn't want to offer all of them something for being here. We hope that you have enjoyed tonight's show. And this is what the Wisdom Walk is about, guys. Again, I said earlier, we're not Jerry Springer, we're not bashing people. I am genuinely concerned about the welfare, health and welfare of individuals. And I know that not everyone has the means to acquire or partake or participate in mental health services. So hopefully and prayerfully, you're learning something along the way about free services and free resources. That's what we want to do. I'm not in this to get rich. I'm not rich by any means, and He's blessed me beyond measure. But I want to be able to just share this message and every message after this with someone to help them in some kind of way. And if you have a particular topic that you're interested in, someone proposed palliative care, respite care for caregivers, those are the kinds of things that we'll be talking about as we move forward, if God says the same for 2024. So we're going to ask Cassandra and Katrina to go to their tables, and then Malcolm will come around and he'll interview them and they'll tell you something about their tables. We'll take about maybe 5, 7, 8 minutes or so, and then we'll reconvene and we'll close it out. All right, are you ready? All right, let's go.
Cassandra said you may, I don't know if you read this or not. Just in case.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Wisdom Walk with Dr. Annette show. We're going to go around to the vendors right now and let you see the products and their services that they provide. They have merchandise as well. They'll probably give you their location, their website, their phone number so that you can get in contact with them. Thank you so much. Please like, share, and comment on the video. Share the video all over the world because we want everybody in the world to know who Dr. Annette is and her therapy session. She's got therapy. Dr. Annette, before I take this camera somewhere else, let them know how they can get your therapy and what kind of therapy do you give to the community?
All right. So just mental health therapy. I'm a life. I also do play therapy, and I'm a certified autism specialist. So if you want to come in and participate in talk therapy, I'm the person. Or if you want to bring your children in for play therapy, I'm that person as well. So I'm located at 2500 East TC Jester Boulevard, Houston, Suite 249, and I would love to be of service to you.
Thank you. Tell them your website right quick.
My website is Williams on Google, Williams Counseling Play Therapy, no and, WilliamsCounselingPlayTherapy.com.
Thank you, good doctor. Thank you. Here we go, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said, please tag individuals who have been through some kind of trauma in their life. Tonight's show was about trauma. Tonight's show was about rape. Tonight's show was about incest. Tonight's show was about being abused as a child and learning how to cope with it in today's time. In today, it's 2023. Things have been going on for decades in families. Today was also about putting the word out there. Stop telling your children to be quiet. Let them talk about things that have happened to them. Let's go back here to the two tables. We have two panelists here. Our two panelists, we're going to start on the left. Go ahead and introduce yourself again. Just rehash who you are and what your organization is.
Hello, everyone. I am Cassandra Berkeley. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I am the founder of Conquering the Obstacles of Painful Experiences, where we offer therapeutic interventions for children, teens, adults, and couples, as well as families. So today at my table, I have several of my products. This one here is the COPE cards, Conquering the Obstacles of Painful Experiences mental health cards. There are 5 affirmation cards. There are 30 counseling cards with journaling prompts, and there are 25 encouraging quotes to help you along your mental health journey. So if you're going through any life transition, any difficulties, these COPE cards will help you to deal with that and heal through any situation you've experienced. I also have my books, Case Closed and More Than a Conqueror. Case Closed is a story that I talked about earlier, and then More Than a Conqueror is my 45-day devotional. You can find all of these products, as well as my t-shirts, on my website at www.morethancope.com. That's MORETHANCOPE.com. I look forward to your support, and I hope that your mental health journey will continue to move forward and progress in a positive direction. Thank you so much.
COPE, everybody. It stands for Conquering the Obstacles of Painful Experiences. Where can they find you, Ms. Cassandra, on social media?
My Instagram and Facebook at More Than Cope, for both Instagram and Facebook. If you at More Than Cope, you will find me there. And on Twitter, I am at More Than Cope Inc.
on Twitter, but, I'm not really big on Twitter, I'm not on there often. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll find me there.
So Instagram is
At More Than Cope.
at More Than Cope
More Than Cope.
on Instagram and Facebook.
On Instagram and Facebook.
More Than Cope. On Instagram and Facebook, y'all give her a follow. She's got cards, she's got books. Go to her website. One more time, the website is?
www.morethancope.com.
Go to her website and check her out. And what is your occupation?
I am a clinical therapist, a clinical social worker.
There you have it, everybody. We're going to get to our next panelist. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for coming tonight. This is Miss Katrina. Willis, Texas is in the house, correct?
Yes. Can I borrow your microphone? This one's not one to come on. There we go. Hi, I am Katrina Lawrence. I'm a master mindfulness coach, and I have two things here that I want to share with everybody. The first one is called Hope for Healing. It is a support group for women who are survivors of childhood sexual abuse. It is a nonprofit. It's free, it's confidential. It's for women who are over the age of 18 who are survivors of childhood sexual abuse. We meet weekly, holidays included. We're always open. No need to call ahead. It does say on the flyer to be in the county, but if you're willing to travel, we are not going to turn you away at all. We just want to be able to reach out and be able to support and help as many ladies as we can with that journey. Also, you can reach me for that. You can reach me through Hope for Healing, nctx@gmail.com. There you go. You can reach out right through there and I'll be able to contact you. And even if you aren't able to meet in person, if you need to be able to reach out and speak to anybody, feel free to contact me. I'm more than willing to listen and help you out. The next thing we have is Beautiful Mind Training Academy. With that, that's where I use the master mindfulness coaching. I help clients of all ages, male and female, all genders. And through this, I help my clients, I walk with them to be able to help them, teach them tools to help retrain their brain so they can have a better quality of mind, be able to control their thoughts and emotions, that kind of stuff. You can go through my website at beautifulmindtrainingacademy.com.
I was trying to find it while you were talking, but I don't see the website here.
Sure, you can scan the QR code.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
okay.
and it takes you straight to it. Also, we have here the She Is Me. That's a poetry book that I wrote going through the memories. You can find that on Amazon or through the website as well, through the Beautiful Mind Training Academy.
Thank you, everybody that's tuned in on YouTube. Thank you, Katrina. We have people that are saying love it.
Awesome. And one final thought, I think, that to any survivor, you matter, your story matters, and if you have not been able to have an opportunity to reach out and get the help that you deserve, there's a lot of help out there. Just reach out.
Exactly. Reach out. Love what you're doing, Miss Katrina. You have 3 organizations. Just to rehash it, correct?
2.
2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 2.
Well, the Haven is that is a residential facility for girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking.
Okay. And that's yours too, correct?
Yeah, that's where I work there. I'm a staff member there.
Oh, you're a staff member
Yes,
there.
I work direct there with the girls.
And this home, Haven, is it located where?
It is a undisclosed location, but it's a little north of Houston.
That was a crazy question, wasn't it?
That's okay. It's a habit, I think.
I'm sorry.
It's habit.
I knew better because we have a nonprofit ourselves, and
Yeah.
when we house and clothe them, I'm not even allowed to go
Right,
because I'm a male.
yeah,
So I knew better than that question.
that's okay.
Just to rehash, tell them one more time what Hope for Healing is.
Hope for Healing is a nonprofit support group for women who are survivors of childhood sexual abuse. You can reach me there through Hope for Healing, nctx@gmail.com. It's in Conroe, so it's a little north of here. You're welcome, if you're not able to meet in person, if you need to talk to somebody, you're more than welcome to email them through that, and we can reach out and get you the help that you need. And the second one is a Beautiful Mind Training Academy. Here, we offer individual coaching sessions for clients who are wanting to retrain their brain to have a better quality of mind.
Where can they find Hope for Healing on social media?
We are in the works for that.
Sorry.
It is in progress.
Can they find A Beautiful Mind?
A Beautiful Mind Training Academy.com.
A Beautiful Mind Training Academy.com. Y'all go and check out. Help is out here, everybody. Help is out here. Thank you so much, Katrina.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Help is out here if you have been abused as a child. Help is out here for you. Do not keep your mouths closed. Open your mouths and let it be known what has happened to you. That is the end of the show. This has been another edition of the Wisdom Walk with Dr. Annette show, live on Real Talk 100 Radio. And we want to go up here and make sure Dr. Annette closes the show. We want you to tune in every Friday night from 8:30 to 10:30, even though she's about to go on vacation on me and she might not be live for a few weeks. She's going to let you know right now what's going on.
Well, the plan is to go live when I'm in Portugal. I'm still trying to work that out logistically. But there will be a break, and I will let you know when that break is. But as I said, God willing, in mid-January, I will return, and we hope to go bigger and better in 2024. But I do want to just acknowledge our guests, our speakers tonight, if they could come forward. And we'll just have, come on up.
You want to sit or stand?
And you can sit. Yeah, they'll only take 30 seconds.
Before I leave, let me get his clothes out of there.
Yeah. All right, again, I want to thank the ladies for being with us tonight. It has just been an awesome show. Thank you, Malcolm, for everything that you do behind the scenes and really in front as well. And I hope that we will have an opportunity to do this again. It has just been fabulous. I want to thank the Church of Christ here at Kashmere Gardens. Brother Jeremy, would you like just to say a word?
We appreciate having the opportunity today to host this grand talk show, and we thank you, and we pray that we'll be working together in future occasions. Thank you for your attendance.
All right, I think that's it for me. I'm still running my 2 for special though. You purchase a therapy session, you get 2 for the price of 1. Yeah, so
How did they take advantage of that?
call my office, 832-273-9513, or they can email me at dranettewilliams5@gmail.com.
Thank you, good doctor. Is that all you have for tonight?
That's all I have.
Boo. I'm just- All right, everybody, that brings us to a close. This has been another edition of the Wisdom Walk with Dr. Annette. That lovely lady right there is Dr. Annette. This is Miss Katrina one more time. This is Miss Cassandra. This is, charge it to my heart, Imani. And this is Miss Victoria Williams. All right, we'll see y'all soon. We'll see y'all soon on another edition of the Wisdom Walk with Dr. Annette show, live on Real Talk 100 Radio. Y'all share the video. Plenty of people need to hear this, and I want you to hit that like button all night long. I don't care if you're asleep, just hit it. Okay, bye-bye. We'll see y'all soon.